Yeah, I've got the same shirt on. Now, any illiterate Cro-Magnon might think, oh, he's wearing the same shirt in two videos. Two videos back to back must be recorded on two different days. He must be a little slob wearing the same shirt a day later. Well, let me tell you. You would normally be correct in that assessment. You normally would. Except you've forgotten the fact that I just didn't go to sleep, and I'm recording this like 5 hours after the first one. Yeah, I fucked up my sleep schedule really bad, and so now I just need to now I just need to stay up for a while. But anyways, hey, what is up, my gaming legion and everybody else who's watching these videos? I'm your host today, Gaming Legion. You can call me Legion, you can call me Jacob, whichever you prefer. Welcome back, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna make good on that promise that I said in the last video. Right now, we're talking about physical media and Sony saying goodbye to it, just like my sleep this morning. For anybody that does not know, I'm a little late to the party, but Sony, about I think 2 weeks ago now, released a statement saying that by January of 2028, they are going to be 86ing physical media. No longer can you go to a humble GameStop and get yourself a little disc, the next God of War, and throw it on your console. No, sirree. You will have to do it digitally. Or, if I remember correctly, you can still go to the GameStop. You just won't get the disc. You will get a little download code in your case. So what was the fucking point? Genuinely, like, we'll get into a few aspects of this, but one aspect that I can understand about not wanting to do physical media is the overhead cost of it and the minimal returns. Because from a business standpoint, it makes sense. It is a bit of an expense to have to make all of this. You obviously have to pay for the case, the discs. You have to pay to get all the discs pressed and get all the data put on there. You have to print out artwork onto the discs. Depending on the game, you might also have to get extra little paper shit in there, if this was 10 years ago. But there is a bit of a cost, however little it might be, since I know Blu-ray discs only cost maybe $1 each. It is still gonna add up. And then of course they have to deal with distribution. They have to send it out to everybody else. They don't make the full money back, and depending on how long it takes or how well the game is received, some of those copies might depreciate in value over time. And of course, releasing a physical copy obviously means the game needs to be a little more expensive to offset that. So in a perfect world, I could understand we're getting rid of physical media. Makes sense. But we do not live in a perfect world. Unfortunately, there is not unicorns shitting out rainbows. It's an unfortunate reality we live in. So from a business standpoint, it makes a bit of sense to not want to do it. But I'm not a business. I'm not a gaming business. Yeah, I'm very much a consumer of all of this, and this is where shit is going to start hitting the fan. Because if Sony is not going to be selling these discs anymore, first of all, that means there's really no way to get the actual game data. One big thing that has been a huge topic in gaming and just physical media in general is the idea of owning your game. It was a big thing when the game key cards came out with the Nintendo Switch 2, and that sparked a whole controversy, of people not knowing what's been going on in the gaming space for the last 10 years. Or when California passed a law for storefronts like Steam, when they give you a license to a game, having to verbally or write it out saying, hey, this is a license for the game. Or when Microsoft took down The Crew, or when Sony took down Concord, there was like a lot of talk about owning your physical media. And while only as time has gone on and games have gotten larger and larger, and more indie stuff has come out, yada yada, it has become more of an idea that you just will only have a little code, a little key on your discs, and not all of the data will be on there. But there is still the good amount of cases where the game will be on the disc. The full game will be on the disc. The full pre-day one update will be on the disc. So in a sense, you could still own your game, so that later down the line, when servers have shut down, when the console is out of the way, or Sony goes defunct and they are no longer a business, you can still take that game, load it onto your console, and play it as if nothing ever happened, as if Sony never left. And with Sony taking away that option for physical media, it's just taking away the possibility to own your game. It will all be on Sony. It'll all go through the PlayStation Store, any game released 2028 and after. Like I mentioned, like, you could still get digital codes in store, but that's still just a digital code. You redeem it through the PlayStation Store. And this goes into another thing where Sony can kind of start controlling the price. But I am curious, because things like GameStop and Walmart are still going to be receiving the physical cases with download codes, which means there is still the likelihood that the games will depreciate in value over time with those. But there is not that secondhand market to really offset it. The big thing with being able to own things physically is that you can also resell them. Maybe you just weren't a fan of the game. Maybe you're just done with the game and you're not really a collector and you just want to give it away. Maybe you just don't want to do video games anymore, or you need to clear out space and you just need to sell everything. You can go to a GameStop, a local game store, a fucking Goodwill if you want to, and you could go sell all your physical media and all your physical games back to them. You get some money and they get games to give out again. When you go and resell something, 9 times out of 10, that price is going to drop by like 50%, assuming the game is older than like a year and a sports game. But the secondhand market had that, so you could go and you could get a game for a lot cheaper. Instead of buying it new or buying it digitally, you could go and get it from a secondhand store for, depending on how long it's been, $50, 40, 30, some go even down as like 15, 20. If you want, you can go check out 2 videos I actually made last year talking about the differences between physical and digital and my stances on them. And in the second part, I actually looked at some of these digital stores, and at least at the time, what the prices were for some of these games compared to what you could get it on the PlayStation Store, and just how you could get it in the wild. I think I went to my retro game store in the area at that time, and I went and I saw some of the prices, and it was maybe 10%, 20% of the digital store price, because Sony can control the price on their digital store, which means they don't have to do discounts on anything. The big thing with discounts is obviously to sell the games. They still want to push the games out, but it's also so that you don't have to go to the retro store and get it, because if it's cheaper right here, or it's the same price but it's right here, you don't have to go to the retro store to go get it, or it's going to be a little more expensive at the retro store. But with Sony taking away physical media and essentially taking away that secondhand market, they're not as incentivized to do these sales, to do these discounts. And I even just did a little check, and I have a perfect example. Assassin's Creed Origins. Normally you can go in store and find this for maybe 15, 20 bucks at max, depending on where you go, but you can find it for relatively cheap. It's a PS4 game, so you could just go get that. And looking on their storefront, luckily, if you're gonna buy this within the next few days, it is down to $9, 85% off. They are still selling Assassin's Creed Origins at $60. Mind you, that's not including that they have other editions. They have the deluxe edition at $70, although, of course, if you're going to buy it in the next few days, you get it 85% off. Or the gold edition, which is $100. Mind you, you don't get that discount on the gold edition. Fuck you. And we're talking about a game that came out in October of 2017, almost 9 years ago, and the game is still at $60 base. Although unless you get it within the next few days, then you get it 85% off. We're generous. We're the good guys. And that's something that they could just do with any game. I mean, there is even some games like most of their first party titles are still at the same like $70, $60 price tag. God of War Ragnarok, still $70, and that came out 3 or 4 years ago. The digital deluxe is still $80, although if you buy it within the next few days, it's $40. Horizon Forbidden West, $50. I think that's maybe only a $10 decrease from its original price. I could be wrong. Dude, don't even get me started on The Last of Us, dude. Part 1 and Part 2 remastered are both still 70. Now, a most egregious example, one I even brought up last year, and if I remember correctly, might have actually gone down about $10 in price. Skylanders Superchargers Portal Owners Pack for $50. Now, if you don't know what Skylanders is, let me give you a little refresher, because maybe you just came out the womb 5 seconds ago. Skylanders is a toys to life game. That means that you had to go and buy little figures, little plastic figures with an NFC chip in the bottom and a portal of power, an NFC reader, hook it up to your system, and that is how you would be able to actually play the game. You would place your figure on the portal, and that would be your character. So the game based around collecting all these things, it's $50, and you don't get the portal of power, you don't get any of the starter pack figures. It does come with 2 digital characters and 1 digital ride, but Skylanders is made around having multiple Skylanders. It is damn near impossible to actually play the game without having all the figures. Well, not all of them, but a good chunk of them. Like, at least I'd say 6 or 7. Now, let me remind you that this was a 2015 game, a September 2015. This is almost 11 years old. Not only that, but you can go and buy it from any retro store from under $10, damn near a fifth of the price. And at least every retro store I go to always has like a little bin of Skylanders and a few portals of power. So you could go to any retro store, pick up the game for $8 or $9, pick up a few Skylanders, normally like $2 to $5 each, depending on which you get, and a portal of power for maybe $8. So for the same price that you get this portal owners pack for $50, you could probably buy the game, a portal that will work with the game, and then like 5 or 6 Skylanders. But that's still more than you'll get, and it'll actually let you play more of the game, and you get to own the game. Also, and at least in the case of Skylanders, you can use that portal of power, and depending on which Skylanders you get, you can use those in some of the other games too. The big point I'm trying to make here is that Sony will control these prices. They don't have any incentive to do sales. They won't exactly have incentive to do discounts. You can only buy God of War on the store here. You can't buy it physically. You can only get it here. Basically, the secondhand market is fucked because of that. Not only in prices, but there is just no secondhand market. And then prices are just likely to go up and stay up for a lot longer for some of these new games. And like, those are some of the big things. You don't get to own your game. You don't, the prices are going to go to shit. There's no secondhand market anymore except maybe selling accounts, but that's fucking stupid. And not only that, you're screwing people who actually like to collect physical media. I mean, this one's coming a bit more personally and not as like, you know, a gaming community thing, because according to Sony's numbers, which I think are a little bullshit, 80% of people buy digitally. I like to collect physical media, and I know a lot of other people do. I think enough that it would justify it. We've already been getting screwed over with, you know, them taking stuff out of the box. They started taking out the instruction manuals. And while I will say, I don't go through and I don't sit and read through all of it, so I know that that's probably not the biggest thing to everybody. It's not even the biggest thing to me, but it is just a little, you know, predecessor to what's to come. They started taking that out. In collector's editions, they started taking out the game, and they just give you a download code. Sometimes they don't even give you a case. And like, for me as a collector, if I'm not going to get a disc in the case, then what's the point? I know one point of digital is so that you don't have to be swapping discs in and out, but personally, that's one of my favorite parts. I love the feeling of walking over to my shelf, picking out a game, taking it off, cracking open that case, and throwing the disc in. And while sure, it can get annoying sometimes if I have to do a bunch of games all at once because I'm checking stuff or something, it's still fun. It doesn't feel like I'm just clicking through menus. It doesn't just feel like I'm just clicking stuff and I'm sitting here like a fat fucking chud. I'm already doing that enough as it is. I can be in ultra giga chat and I can get up and I can go grab my game. I can hold it physically. I can go sell it off if I really want to. It's just a whole thing. I probably haven't added much to the conversation. I don't think I have, but I just wanted to get my 2 cents. which is probably the same 2 cents like 90% of people are talking about anyway. I'm just tired. So I apologize if I rambled a little bit on some things, if I lost the plot. But yeah, little promo because I haven't been doing it much. I did it at the end of the last video, but I've got a new song coming out. In fact, I've been putting out a little bit of music, and I've been wanting to talk more with my good friend Ben Doss. I've worked with him on a few projects about getting some of his leftover beats or ones that he just doesn't want to use and seeing if I can take some of those so I can start putting some more of this on SoundCloud, Apple Music, etc. Because I did that with a lot of my old stuff, but the problem is that I never paid for those beats, so I was just doing that and literally hoping I didn't get caught, which I didn't. But in the spirit of being fair and, you know, being like a good person, I did go and I took down all of those old songs. There were probably one or two I don't think I actually had to take down, but I did take them down just in case, and I'm starting fresh on those platforms. SoundCloud's different. I'm not monetizing those, so I put whatever the fuck I want on there. But I am looking to put some more on there. I've got one song called Welcome to the Crosshair. That is the title of it. I still need to work on the album artwork. Maybe it'll be in here. I've also wanting to promote my good friend Ben Doss's new album. What's it called? Un Entrée Vivante. It's fucking French. I don't know why he did that. Took me a minute to find it, okay? It's French. They don't exist, but he will be having that come out sometime this year. It is a sequel to his 2023 album called Hermit, and your boy is on one of the songs called Alone. I honestly fucking snapped on that song. I can't even lie to myself. I snapped on that song. But please go check that out. SoundCloud, Spotify, all the good stuff. I got all of his links down below, so please, please, please go check that out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. I love you guys. Get out from under spell. I see that you ain't doing well now. I don't kiss and tell, but I'ma need you in that cell. I got the personnel. I really hope you don't rebel. Oh baby, please don't yell. I swear this muzzle wanna